Hello guys, and welcome to eNasta. This is another English lesson for 3rd grade high school students entitled Meat and Environment. My name is Davor Cherny and I will be your teacher for today. In today's lesson, we'll be applying different reading strategies, writing a short report on the effects of the usage of meat on the environment, and conducting a survey and writing a report on eating habits in your family. So let's get ready. Get your equipment ready. Of course, you have a notebook, a pen or a pencil, some sort of digital device, PC, tablet or smartphone, and of course you're already connected to the internet. You can stop the video at any time, and in the video description you can find all the links needed for this lesson. If you see this symbol, it means that you have to write something in your notebook. If you see this symbol, it means that you have to do some research. And if you see these symbols, it means that you should pause the video, do the activity and play it again. This is a list of links that we are going to use in this lesson. So what are we going to do in this lesson? We'll do a little survey on the eating habits. You'll do some vocabulary work. You'll do some research. You will be reading a text for a main idea and for details. And we'll be raising awareness, both our own and our family and friends. So, do you recognize this symbol? Do you know what this formula means? So this is a chemical formula for carbon dioxide, or CO2. And this symbol is used to show something we call carbon footprint. Someone's carbon footprint is measurement of the amount of carbon dioxide that their activities produce. We as humans produce carbon dioxide constantly because we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. Plants, on the other hand, in their everyday activities, take in the carbon dioxide and release the oxygen. Here are the links to the web page where you can learn more about a carbon footprint. So this is the page. Welcome to Carbon Footprint. It's a home of carbon footprinting, carbon calculators, CO2 reduction, carbon offsetting, and caring for the climate. As you all know, carbon dioxide is an important gas in our atmosphere, and it prevents or stops our planet from cooling down. Unfortunately, when we have too much of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, the Earth doesn't cool enough and we create something we call a greenhouse effect. Since there are a lot of producers of carbon dioxide, it is very important that we raise awareness on reduction of producing this gas. On the carbon footprint webpage, there is also a tool which you can use to calculate your carbon footprint. It's called the carbon calculator. You can follow these two links and go to this page and calculate your own carbon footprint. So feel free to pause the video and calculate your carbon footprint. Another gas that is or can be found in the atmosphere. Can you guess from this photo what gas are we talking about? So this is nitrogen, and there is also something called a nitrogen footprint. Reactive nitrogen is vital to human life. It is necessary for food production and it is also a byproduct of energy consumption. Too much reactive nitrogen in the environment causes a cascade of environmental problems that negatively affect human health in addition to the environment. So, a little assignment for you. So you can pause the video and following this QR code, try to answer these questions. So why is nitrogen important? What is reactive nitrogen? What is virtual nitrogen? What is tertiary sewage treatment and how can I know if I have it? What can I do to influence my nitrogen footprint? And what else can I do to influence nitrogen pollution? So pause the video, follow the QR code, and in your notebooks, answer these questions. Also, on this web page, you can calculate your nitrogen footprint. So follow the QR code or the bit.ly link and calculate your nitrogen footprint. When you have calculated your carbon and nitrogen footprint, you can follow this bit.ly link or QR code and you can publish your results on this Padlet board. So we said the title of this lesson is Meat and Environment. So why is meat important in this topic? And what is the connection of meat production and the usage of meat to the carbon and nitrogen footprint? Well, the production of meat today varies from free-range, grass-fed to industrial mass production type. So regardless of the way we produce the meat, the bigger problem lays in its usage. So the problem is not directly in the production of meat, but in the amount of meat that people eat every day. So it's time for a little survey. Following this bit.ly link and QR code, go to a little survey page where you will be asked to answer a couple of questions. So how often do you eat meat? What kind of meat do you eat most often? Why do some people become vegetarians? Explain your ideas. Why did you put your answers in such an order? And the last question, it's kind of a think about questions. So in August 2019, a United Nations climate change report asked people to think about how much meat they were eating. What do you think the United Nations report said about eating meat? So write down your ideas. So UN Climate Action is an international organization acting as part of the UN organization. This is a link to their page. And what they say is that what we eat has major implications for climate change. The destruction of rainforests to create land for agriculture, along with growing demand for meat, are major contributors to the increasing greenhouse gases, which are taking a significant toll on climate and global food security. This is a link to a video which was created during their campaign in 2019.
Use of animals for food is the biggest environmental problem. Forget about power plants. That's not even close. But it's also fun to have a worthy opponent. There is absolutely no scenario for preventing catastrophic climate change without a vast reduction in the scale of animal agriculture.
The statistic that really comes to mind for me is this 80% of agricultural land in the United States being devoted either through grazing or through growing feed to feeding animals that are then slaughtered and converted into meat.
If you could snap your fingers and just vaporize that industry, which I would do in a heartbeat if I could, the recovery of plant biomass on that land would actually start to lower atmospheric CO2 concentrations, something people don't even contemplate as a possibility.
So over to you, a little project work. So use this short survey and ask your parents or grandparents how much meat did they eat when they were your age. Write a short report on the eating habits in your family in the past and compare them to your eating habits now. A report should be 100 to 150 words. Please send your reports to your teachers to check. So, let's continue with our work. This is a little vocabulary exercise that you're going to do. So follow the bit.ly link and connect the words with their definitions. So you have words like emission, dairy, guilty, inefficient, unfair, antibiotics, grain, wasteful, resistant, suffer, significant, livestock, and harming. So please follow the link and complete the activity. And here are the results. So antibiotics are, of course, drugs or medicine that fight infection. Dairy is something made from milk. Emission is the air pollution produced by cars or factories. Grain is a type of food grown by farmers, wheat or rice. Guilty, feeling bad because you've done something wrong. Harming, hurting, damaging. Inefficient, not using something in an organized way. Livestock, animals that farmers keep. Resistance, condition where the drugs which fight infection have stopped working. Significant, important. Suffer, to feel bad physically or emotionally. Unfair, a situation where one group of people have more resources or advantages than another. And wasteful, using a resource stupidly so that some is thrown away. So, the first reading task will be reading for the main idea. So your task is to identify the topic, summarize the passage, look at the first and last sentences of the passage, and look for repetition of ideas. So these are some of the reading strategies that you can apply when reading for the main idea. So, reading for the main idea. The text we're going to read has the title 5 Ways the Meat on Your Plate is Killing the Planet. You can follow the bit.ly link or the QR code to reach the text. So you're going to read the article quickly and match each numbered section with a heading. So here's the key to reading for the main idea. 1E is the heading, environmental problems. So some of the words that you could have found in the text in this paragraph: environment, greenhouse effect, climate change. The second paragraph has the title grain, water and land. That was D. And you could find in this paragraph these 3 words repeated. Third paragraph, it hurts the poor, C. Harder for the world's poor was one of the key phrases in this paragraph. 4B, unnecessary animal suffering. Animals have feeling, they suffer unnecessarily. So these were the phrases from this paragraph. And the last paragraph has the title making us unhealthy. And the key phrase was growing public health problem. So the second time you're going to read the text, we'll be reading for detail. This usually means intensive reading. One of these activities is skimming a text for specific information to answer true or false statements or filling gaps in a summary. It is always a good advice to read the questions you have to answer before you read the text, and underline all the keywords or phrases that can help you answer the questions. So this is the bit.ly link to the reading of the text, and a bit.ly link and a QR code to the true and false assignment. So first follow the bit.ly link to the true-false, read the questions, and then read the text and go back to the questions and answer them. You can also copy the statements into your notebook and then read the text and decide if the statements are true or false. And here are the answers. The first statement on the emissions from transports are higher than emissions from livestock farming is false. It says in the text that this industry contributes 18% of human-produced greenhouse gas emissions worldwide. This is more than the total from ships, planes, trucks, cars, and other transports. So its low emission from transports is lower than the one from livestock farming. The second statement, eating pork or chicken is less harmful. This is true because producing 1 kilogram of beef requires 25 kilograms of grain to feed the animal and 15,000 liters of water. So pork and chicken are less wasteful. Statement 3, a quarter of the land in the world is used for livestock farming. This is false. Around 30% of the Earth's land surface is used for livestock farming. A quarter would be 25%. So it's more than a quarter. Statement 4, grain is too expensive for some of the world's poorest people to buy. This is true, and it makes it harder for the world's poor to feed themselves. Statement 5, livestock farming uses half of the antibiotics produced every year. So this is false. It's 80% of all antibiotics used in the animal farming industry. Statement 6, people in rich nations are eating 2 or 3 times more meat every day than the EU recommends. This is true. So the average meat intake for someone living in a high-income country is up to 250 grams a day, which is far higher than 80 to 90 grams recommended by United Nations. And the last statement, if we ate less meat, we could save over $1 trillion on healthcare alone. This is false. The savings could go up to $1.5 trillion. So, discussion point. After reading this article, do you think you might make changes to how much meat you eat? Why not? Describe the changes you'd like to make. What might be difficult about making these changes? Write a short report up to 100 words answering the questions above. Send the report to your English teacher. So after you read, do some vocabulary work. Choose 3 words from the vocabulary exercise that you would like to remember and use. For example, you could choose the words which are new for you, the words you often make mistakes with, the words which you think will be useful for talking about other topics, or the words that are very different in our own language. And write personal sentences for each of these words. And here is an exit ticket. So, one aha moment you had. If there is still a question, you still have something you already knew, one word to sum up what you learned today, two things you learned. Is there still something you're confused about? Or is there still something you want to remember? And a little checklist. If you have tried different reading strategies, if you have become more aware of environmental problems, have you discussed the topic with your friends? Are you going to change the way you act? Have you tried calculating your nitrogen and carbon footprint? You have done the project and you have written at least one report. We have reached the end of today's lesson. It was nice working with you. Till next time, bye.